Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Team Hours Daily. Joining me this week is racing driver and F1 presenter Corinna Kamper. We caught up recently to chat about her racing career, how she got the chance to transition into F1 presenting, riding shotgun with Carlos Sainz at Maranello, whether she'd rather fight aliens or zombies, and much more. So, without any further ado, let's just get straight into it, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. So, hi Corinna, thanks for being here today. First of all, how are you?
Hi there. Well, I'm really good. I'm on holiday and it's beautiful here. I'm in Croatia and I know it's been raining a lot at home in Austria, so I appreciate it even more. And yeah, it's nice to have an interview again. I haven't been doing that for a while now.
Oh, you sounds like you're definitely kicking off June in the right way on both the professional and the private front, so winning.
Exactly. No, it's really nice. Thank you for having me anyway.
Oh, my pleasure, and hopefully we can have a good chat now and give everyone what they want, get the best of both.
Well, fingers crossed. We'll see.
So, first question I like to ask everyone: what first got you into motorsport?
I was 6 years old when a friend, actually a girlfriend, asked me if I want to go karting, and I had no clue, obviously, what it is. So we went there, and it got me completely hooked. I think these are the only laps my dad ever missed out on, and he wasn't there. Her dad was with us, and I loved it, absolutely loved it, and went back home. I was like, Dad, we have to go there again, and yeah, that's how it got started. And then I went karting to a different place. And I think it was my second or third time. And then there was Gustl Auinger. I don't know if you ever heard the name. He was in F1 and he's a big name in Austria. And he was there and he said to my dad while I was doing laps, and obviously wearing a helmet, he was like, oh, you should support that boy. He's good. And my dad was like, that's not my boy, that's my girl. And yeah, that's how it all started. And then I moved international karting, and then up, the first thing was Formula BMW when I was 16 then. So yeah, but what first got me hooked was when I was 6 years old, when I was rental karting. That was really nice. I love it.
So, love at first sight, then very much, and just addicted, as most people would.
Yeah, definitely. No, it straight away got me addicted. I loved it from the first moment on. And like my parents or anything, they never used to do karting or racing. I mean, my dad used to be a snowboard racer, but I didn't have like the family background where you get into it. It was more just by coincidence.
So good chance of coincidence there, and like you say, it's maybe a little more unusual that it was a girlfriend of yours instead of a guy friend of yours that introduced you to it. Kind of makes that even better in a way.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I love saying that, because it's like so little girls in motorsport, isn't it? And then it was exactly a girl who showed me karting. So I think that's a nice accident.
It shows that there's always been that interest there. It's just there's not been enough attention on it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So then you won your first race back in 2011 in the formal Lister Junior. How did it feel to win that first race?
Oh, that was weird. That was really, really weird, because I missed out. I think there were 3 or 4 practice sessions, and I missed out on 3 of them. Like I only did 1, and I loved Monza. That was back in Monza, and I loved Monza. I loved the quick corners and then the chicanes, just like breaking down really quickly. And I missed out on most of it. And I had an amazing engineer. He showed me like on my board, on my wall sign, he was like, oh, you're 2/10 of the quickest. And I was like really pushing, because like, oh my God, 2/10 of the quickest. So, there's a real chance to be somewhere in the front. And turns out I was already in front. I was already quickest in the qualifying, but he knew me that well. And sorry. And then I ended up being first by like 3/10 or something like that. That was a big gap then, because he knew, the guy's probably going to catch up again and going to be quicker again and beat my time. So he knew he's going to say, right, that's not the end, because he knew when I saw one P1, I'm going to be like, right, that's my time, I'm done. But that's how well he knew me. And then I pulled into qualifying, like in the grid, and then they were like, the people were looking at me and they were like showing me like thumbs up. I was like, yeah, that was a good session, but I don't know. And my dad came and he was like all over in tears, and my mum, and they were like so happy for me, and they were all in tears like, you're P1. It's like, no, come on, can't be it. And that was the most amazing experience I ever had. And then I had the race. I think I won only the first one, not the second race, because we always did 2 races. And I did that first. I think in the second race I became second, but that was just so weird walking out there at the podium, you know, like there's like the aisle, and I was probably one of the proudest moments my parents ever had, and of course for me as well. But seeing your parents like blossom up like that and being so proud of you, that just really sticks to you.
All downhill since then, is it?
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it? Like my highlight of my life when I was 16. No, we had some really good memories, but I think sport. I was talking a lot with my parents. Oh, that's our dog. I was talking.
Well, I'll put a warning up when you're with headphones for that.
we probably should get him in. It turns out. I was talking with my parents a lot about it recently. That sports just make you a different person when you do it professionally, not just like on a professional level. How you really want to improve in that sport and how you grow, and also how you grow with your family and the people close to you, because you really want to achieve something. Just make something really different out of a person, I think.
Really, really interesting to see as well. I wasn't sure whether when you were saying about the practice sessions to say, well, clearly you either didn't need the practice there, or imagine how quick you would have been if you had the practice. I don't know which one to go for. It's just kind of like that improvement was coming either way, because the engineer exactly knew what to say to you to get you to go quicker anyway. But like you say, it's interesting to see how you can push yourself to keep getting better on that front.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, you knew me so well, and it's good to have the people around who really know you like that. And I think there was no pressure in that qualifying, because I knew I missed out on most of the sessions. I had some technical issues. I can't remember what it was, and I think there was just no pressure. And I was just like, yeah, whatever happens, happens. And I love racing. And maybe it should be more times like these, you know, where just like, I'm just loving what I'm doing and taking the pressure out a little bit.
Were you happy or disappointed with that second place then in the second race after you'd had the high? Or were you like, you know what, it's all right?
You're really quickly satisfied with what you have, isn't it? Like when you Max Verstappen and you turn out to be second, or looking at Carlos Sainz on the podium in Monaco, he didn't look happy, did he? And he was second. You know, you'd be like, you're in the peak of Formula One, you're second, you should be happier than that. But on the other hand, you're not, because you know you could have done better. And
you're a racing driver at the end of the day.
Yeah, you always want to win, don't you? So, and sometimes I had races back in Formula Renault when I was in top 10. That was amazing, being in top 10, because when I was racing Formula Renault, all the guys now are doing something like Jake Dennis, who's doing Formula E, Oscar Van Dorn, Nick de Vries. So these were all my guys, you know, I've been racing against with. And when I was in top 10, that was amazing. I was out of the world for the budget we had as well. And on the other hand, when you want on the podium, or when you want better, then you're like, yeah, I want to be like that again. So I think you're never satisfied. And I think that's what makes a professional athlete as well, not being satisfied with what you have as well, like being happy and being, I think, proud of yourself at some point. But of course you want to be the number one.
I think as well, it's that kind of thing. The first time you do it, you've kind of maybe exceeded expectations in some way, so you're really happy about it. But then you're like, if you don't do it again immediately the next time, you're like, oh, why can I not do it now all of a sudden? And then you just keep raising that bar, and it's exactly why it's like you're saying Carlos is second, but he's not happy with it.
Yeah, well, he didn't look happy. Maybe he was, but he didn't look too happy.
You know what I
mean? No, but that's the thing always with athletes. You want to be better, and you want to be the best with what we've got as well. You always have to think about that, because especially with us when we're doing Formula Renault, it's so much about money and budget that, you know, there's just a limit. Yeah, there's a limit how fast you can go, because for me, like, we didn't have new tires every day, well, like maybe once a day, where other people were using new tires every session. You know, we didn't have that money, so of course I couldn't be as quick in qualifying. So always be kind of proud with what you got. But Formula BMW was an amazing time for me, so that was great.
And you're still racing today with Rotax karting. What are your ambitions for 2022?
Well, I'm only racing a few races with them. I was with them for the Euro Challenge back, a month ago, something like that, 1.5 months ago, in Genk, which is amazing that I was in Genk, because when I was still in school and when I was with Rotex, there was a European Championship like it is now. And it was the last race was Genk, and I missed out on it because I had a school thing. What's it called? How do you say that? You know, the exam? That's it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I had an exam, like a maths exam, and my mum was like, "No, you're not gonna go. You know, you have to do that." And that's the only track I've missed out on that year. And now coming back to it, that was just amazing. And I love the e-karting, the Project E20 tour. I just love the idea of it. I don't know if that's going to be the future, but it's a step into a different direction, because I think we're really stuck on what we had with karting, with motorsport, and we didn't really involve in that. And it's good with the E20 that there's something else is happening right now. I was a bit disappointed because I had like, what was it? It was qualifying. It was 3 heats. It was pre-race and final, or pre-final and final. So it was like 5 sessions. And out of 5 sessions, I was 4-time quickest. I was only like 200ths off in qualifying. So that first of all was really disappointing. But in the final, I ended up only being 4th. So I missed out on the podium, even though I was with the quickest. And that really hurts, you know, so the ambitions. But that's the fun thing about the E20, because back then as well, it was about money. It was about how much can you spend on the engineer and the mechanic. But in the E20, all the carts are pretty similar. So it's more about the start. Yeah, it's more, even more like, yes, the driver, but it's also about the start, because I had amazing starts. I was always starting from second. And out of the 4 starts, it was 3 times first after the start. So I had a really good reaction, and that, you know, that just really helps. And then if they fight behind you, you can pull away. So it's the
ideal scenario for you if you can make that happen.
Yeah, sure, it was great. But then that's the thing with the E20. It's just about the driver, the fights. If you place your boost wisely, because in Genk it wasn't that good, but I was doing the grand finals in December in Bahrain. And you've got a boost where you're just quicker, and you can do it once or twice a lap. But if you do it like on the straight, and then someone else is doing it at a different point, because it takes some time to recharge again, they can overtake you. But if you don't do it on the straight again, they're just going to easily lap you.
Yeah.
So it's all about also putting the boost wisely. And yeah, it's great fun. So the ambitions are more like trying to get more attention on the E20, as well as having fun for me being back in a race car and competing with the other guys and girls, some girls.
I would say, like you say, it's having those similar setups of the karts that allows the strategy and the drivers to really come into it more and show off that, which for the strategists talking to you beforehand, and for you in the kart itself, then it kind of gives that extra level of satisfaction there, because you know that if you do well, it's because of you, and it's okay. The kart still works and doesn't break, and that's great. But you know, you've done a lot of the donkey work there. So
yeah, exactly. I can just agree with you on that one. So that D20 is great fun.
So then, as well, you've managed to turn your passion for racing into a career as an F1 presenter for Orff in Austria. How did you manage that?
Oh, that's so weird. I have a friend or Ernst, who's been doing Formula One in Orff since 2009 now with Alex Wurz. And he had the idea of the Orff motorhome. And the motorhome consists like a debriefing, you know, talking about, there's some parts where we talk about the racetrack, what happened to the fights, what happened at the start. There's the social media part, which is more my part, to getting the guys who watch it at home more involved into us, and what are their questions, what are they interested in. And so he called me, and obviously I'm one of the few girls in Austria who've been racing, and Ernst called me, and it was like, you know, I've got the idea, would you be part if we do it? I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And first of all, you're like, oh, let's see, you know, I never get too excited about stuff until it really happens. So I was like, yeah, we'll see. And then you get the contract, and you're like, what the actual
maybe this is happening.
Heck is going on. So I was like, that was really weird. And then coming there, it was just out of the blue. It changed my life completely. The last 2 years, like, so many opportunities happen. Like, talking to you is also probably because of Orff. You know, it's like so many doors have opened and so many opportunities have arisen through that. And yeah, I'm forever thankful for Ernst for getting me involved in that. She's like calling me like, you want to do that? I was like, yeah, sure. And
there's still moments where you're kind of pinching yourself. You're kind of like there doing that, and then you kind of have like a moment where you're just looking sort of, what the hell's going on here? How am I doing this?
Yeah, I have a lot of time still. And when I'm in the studio and you can see, especially because it's just all cameras, but you have one screen, you see yourself there, you're like, what the heck is happening here? That's just so weird. Yeah, it's like that. And of course there are moments. Last year I was at 3 races. I was in Spa, in Baku, and at Red Bull Ring, and it's like,
but you went to Spa last year.
Yeah, I was in Spa. So I was there somewhere hiding, but it's weird being there and just walking there and be like, you're one of them. It's like you're just working there, and it's just weird, but it's like I'm so thankful for that. Or being with Ferrari a month ago, when I got that call, if I want to come, it's like, yeah, exactly. That's actually what I said, because first of all they sent me an email, and then I was like, and I screenshotted it and sent it to my parents, and they're like, no way, why should they? So, and then I called them, and I was like, because I've got no experience with GT cars, why should they? I'm more with the Formula racing. And I called them, and they're like, because they were from Switzerland, it's actually their marketing doing it. So, and then they said, oh yeah, because Ferrari Germany has said, well, you should go to Italy. And it was all a bit, the marketing is in Switzerland, Ferrari Germany, and I should go to Italy. And I was like, I'm not sure about that. They're like, we booked your flights. And I was like, no one's going to spend that much money kidnapping me. It's not worth it. So
you get to the airport, it's like, oh, no tickets. I knew it was not right.
Yeah, exactly. But it worked. Everything worked out. And there was a guy I was standing there with a Ferrari signing Corinna Kamper, and I was like, this is actually happening, So that's one of probably the weirdest and kind of proudest moments I ever had being there with Ferrari. And they're like, oh, you want to test our car? It's like, oh my God, that's a lot of
I'm going to say no to this, but also what?
Yeah, exactly. It was more like, why? I don't want to put myself down, but I'm a presenter. Yes, I've been a racing driver, but it's like, oh my God, thank you so much for giving me this chance, this opportunity. But again, this just happened because of being with ORF, and the past I got as well. So I think the combination of both of these things.
And then you also got to ride shotgun with Carlos Sainz of all people around Maranello.
Oh yeah,
what was that like?
I'm never too crazy about people, about like, oh my God, he's a superstar and everything, because in the end he's just doing his job, which he loves, and he's got a lot of spotlight on him. But if I'm like, I have a boat license score, and I think I'm running it good, it's like everything's going well, but I'm not going to have the spotlight he has. Or just because I'm, for example, in TV doesn't make me any better of a person, does it? So I was never too crazy of famous people. But what I like is being with a Formula One driver, either if it's Carlos Sainz or not, but being with a Formula One driver in a Ferrari at Maranello, at Fiorano, at the Ferrari racetrack, that's something special still, because you just can't buy it. You just can't call Ferrari and be like, oh, I want to have Carlos Sainz taking me around Fiorano and show me the racetrack. That's not going to happen. So
it's very much of all the teams for you to try to do that with. They will call you, not you call them. The other ones you maybe have a chance, but it's never going to be that way with Ferrari.
Yes, and I talked with the guys there, and they said, I've been working with Ferrari for 5 years now, and there was only once an appointment where there was a meet and greet with Charles Leclerc. So that's the second time in 5 years he actually gets a driver with reporters or anything doing anything like this. So like I said it in my Instagram post, there are things on your bucket list which aren't even on your bucket list, Yeah, I could have never imagined anything. Yeah, you could never wish for something like this. This is just out of the world. This is just like Elon Musk calling you if you want to go to the moon with him. It was like that for me, being a racing driver. That's just being with Ferrari, just driving to 296 GTP, just going across the roads there, and even seeing the racetrack. That's on my top end list. It can't get much better than that. But then being a car with a Formula One driver, it's weird. It's weird just realizing it. I don't even think, it's not pinching, it's like punching me to be like, yeah, that's really happening. And it's still weird when I got the video, because we had videos from the GoPros and everything. It's just like Sainz, Camper, Ferrari. It's like, that's still weird. Like I said, I'm not too crazy about people, but still.
Just kind of like waking up the next day and thinking, did that happen yesterday, or was I just high on something?
Exactly. And especially, if you like in the studio and talking about these people, and Charles Leclerc did this and Sainz and Hamilton, da da da, and then they're there and you're like, oh yeah, you want to go and have a ride. That's just, it's weird. It's still a little bit crazy, but I have to say, I've already been with Alex Wurz last year in a Porsche. So I've already been with.
It was the natural next step, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And there was Robert Lechner as well, who runs the Porsche Carrera Cup team, and he was a great driver. He drove it really, really scary at Red Bull Ring last year, and that was Alex. And then I sent them the picture. That was really funny because we were in a WhatsApp group, and they're like, Alex Wurz was like, oh, we don't look that good anymore as a driver, do we? So no, it was out of the world experience, and I don't want to sound like I didn't appreciate it. It was more than crazy for me. And still looking back at the pictures and whatever, I still can't really believe it. But I don't want to, like I said, go too crazy about superstars, even though they're good Formula One drivers. They're probably one of the best. But I think other people do good jobs as well and just don't get any spotlight on them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make them better or worse.
It's like whenever you see an F1, whenever you have the podium and then you have the team representative come on and they try and make it if it's one of the top 3 teams where they've probably got a lot of people that they can do that with, you can try and have as many different people up there so that everyone gets a moment up there. So
exactly. And I don't think, like you said, it's Formula One, and they pointed out for Red Bull, they pointed out Hannah, I don't know her last name, but Hannah something, who did the strategy for Paris to win this. And they said in an interview, without her, it wouldn't have been happening, and it's not about only Checo Perez. He's doing his part. There are a lot of people doing his part. So like you said, they can be up there in the end. And it's not only for Formula One, it's like for any sports, there are a lot of people behind that. Or for any company which runs really, really good. You're like, but they're putting a lot of effort in. They just don't have the spotlight. So either way, it could have been any Formula One driver, but being with a Ferrari driver in Fiorano at Maranello in a Ferrari, like that was, you got everything in it. That is the bucket list done for the rest of my life, I think.
Well, I'm talking about bucket lists. What else is actually on your racing bucket list?
On my racing bucket list, I mean, I've always wanted to race professionally, but that didn't work out for me, which is a shame. And I always wanted to live off racing. So in the end, it's probably still that didn't change. But at the moment, from what I can do now, I'm a lot with AVL. I don't know if you've heard of it. They're having the big simulators and doing a lot of analysis with car and simulator. And I can go there and test on the simulator. And what I really want to do is know all the Formula One tracks on the simulator, like know the gears, know the track, because I love simulator work. It tires me after like 4 or 5 hours, but that's a long time. But I really want to know all the Formula One tracks they're actually racing on still, either with it 21, 22, 23. So having a go.
So it's going to keep adding tracks to you this way, and you'll be there for a good while.
Exactly, because I love looking at pictures and just seeing like the grandstand and be like, oh, that's Hockenheim, or oh, that's there, and just seeing the curves. And I love that feeling when you just see a little bit out of it and you're like, oh,
there's that satisfaction of just knowing it immediately. I was like, yeah, I'm way too into this, aren't I?
I had some advertisement in Formula One just last week in Monaco, and you could see the back of it. But I was like, that's not which track that is. So I love that. I always loved it.
I was going to say that extra level of satisfaction that you can just get as a diehard motorsport fan.
I never looked at Nordschleife though. I tried it like 2 times. I was like, not gonna work for me. It's just too long, I'm used to small tracks. It's not my thing.
Yeah, it seems like even the longest F1 track is still nowhere near what the length of that one is. So.
Not even close.
Yeah.
I did it for 2 hours and I still didn't know my way around pretty much. I was like, am I stupid, or is it really that difficult? And I think it's just a mixture of both.
I think it's probably that difficult, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So what's been the biggest challenge for you to overcome in your career as either racing or presenting since then, and how did you overcome it?
But that's quite easy. For me, it was, like I said, I started karting when I was 6 years old, and I was with McLaren when I was 19 or 20. So I've been racing for 14 years, and that was just, I took it for granted. That was just my life, you know, growing up from 6 to 20. It's like, I'm not going to do anything else in life, am I? That's what I'm going to do. And then I stopped racing, and I was like, who am I? And what am I going to do with my life? Because I think a lot of people have it still, you know, after school. But being in racing for 14 years, there was nothing else. Like I was traveling a lot, but to the racetracks, racetrack hotels, and people have been all abroad and, you know, like have parties and everything. But I'm not saying I missed it, but I missed out on all of it. I don't know what it was to be a teenager. I was like, when you finish school over here, then you usually go with your class somewhere on holiday for a week, and you're just going to go drinking the whole week, and you forget everything, which I didn't do. Like, when they went, I was at Nürburgring, talking about Nordschleife. I was at Nürburgring, and that was my holiday after school, and I felt just like I missed out on a lot of stuff, but I didn't miss it. But then I was like, who am I? What am I going to do? That's just Korean race car driver. There's nothing else of me. Like, I don't even know me apart from racing. And that was definitely the biggest challenge. And I later studied sports in English, which was easy because I was living in England for 4 years. Yeah. But then I was like, after 2 or 3 years, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to become a teacher. I don't even know what I want to do. And it took me a few years. I think a lot of people, you know, don't know where to go and what to do after school, especially. But for me, it was a difficult phase, and I was living out of the suitcase, living in England. I was actually finishing my school in Austria, but living in England. And then I had a cat because I found it here in Croatia, actually. I found it here. I was like, okay, I got a cat now. And I never touched a cat before. I didn't even know why I took him. He's amazing. I still have him. He's the most adorable thing I ever, and it was the best choice I ever made. But before that, I had a dog, or my parents had a dog. And I saw that cat. I was like, oh, I've got to take him because he was 3 weeks old and I just want to help him. It's like, okay, I got a cat now, but I'm still living in England and I'm kind of have to study in Austria. So it was all a bit, what am I going to do? And suddenly I had
still very much traveling around the place in some ways there, just continuing on that trend.
Yeah, exactly. And I was used to living out of a suitcase, and suddenly I had a home where a cat was. And I was like, how am I gonna do that? And my parents are always really supported me in any direction. When I said I'm gonna stop with uni, they weren't too fascinated by that idea, but it was a good idea as well, because I kind of knew what I wanted, what I didn't want, but I didn't know who I was. And I can say now, I found myself, and I know that there's a different part of Corinna than being the race car driver, but it's always going to be, it's going to be 90% of my heart, isn't it? Because I did it for 14 years and I stopped because I had to, not because I wanted. And I think what you grow up with and what you do for probably the most important part of your life from 6 until 20, you go through so much in these 14 years, probably less when I say from 20 to 33, which is going to be an interesting part as well, but like a lot happening from 6 years until 20. It's just like a completely different human being. It's always going to be you. It's always going to be me, the race car driver. And whenever you give me a card or a race car, I'm going to do it. But yeah, that was the most difficult thing for me, which isn't probably too much racing, but still.
But it's still relevant to racing at the same time, because you do wonder sometimes, especially in the junior categories like F2 and F3, if they, for whatever reason, don't then make it into F1 and they've got to decide, oh, do I go into, say, IndyCar or Formula E or something completely different, or do they stop it entirely then? It's like, well, you've been doing this since, 3, 4, 5 years old, and then suddenly this thing you've been working towards, you don't maybe get that, and then you've got to figure out what the hell do you do now and who you are as a result of that. So it's not the easiest thing to figure out, but at the same time, sometimes it's better to have to instead of choosing to, if that makes sense, because you maybe learn a bit more that way then.
No, definitely. But I was just talking about that recently with someone as well. It's like there are a lot of people who made it into Formula One or something like Formula E or somewhere where they can race. But what about those people who didn't make it? You know, you never see them. You see them growing F3, F2, and then you're like they're gone and they're just out of the field. You don't see them anymore. You don't see how they are actually struggling to find their path again. And there are definitely more people who didn't make it than the people who made it. So it's probably for me important as well to look at people like where he's gone actually, what is he doing? And also to talk with people, it's like, how are you doing actually without racing? And I talk with a lot of people and they're like, yeah, I'm not too good actually. I miss it. I miss it a lot. And it's my biggest passion. And it's like riding a roller coaster for me for 14 years and then you just get out of it. And that's it. And yeah, it just, I think it makes it really more honest as well to talk with more racing drivers, like how you really doing? How do you really cope with not driving anymore?
Because again, it's this whole thing of, like I was saying, you're building up so much, and it's not just on the racing front. Okay, you're racing more and you're training more, but then there's so much more that comes with that, with sponsors and commitment and having to act a certain way to be in public and maybe don't get as much private time and all the rest of it. And then, like you say, if they don't suddenly get that, it all goes completely just flatlines, and you're like, well, I can I don't have to behave in this way anymore. I can kind of just be myself a bit. But again, what does that look like? And it's quite fascinating to see it, because you see some F2 drivers from a few years ago where you know, it's kind of like the good title fight, and you see like Callum Ilott and these people, and you think, okay, they're going to go into F1, and then they don't, and okay, it works out for a couple of them IndyCar, but then like you say, a couple of other ones, you're like, you see them occasionally, but you're not really aware of what they're doing, and you're just thinking, it's like, you just kind of find yourself wondering, like, oh yeah, what happened to him? And it's ridiculous how quickly that can change.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not talking about the people who are doing like putting in 70-80%, who got a lot of money and who's got some like sponsorship and yeah, they like to drive. I'm talking about the people who are like 100% committed, driving their complete heart out, looking for sponsors, looking for people. It's just not working out because there's like, you know, it doesn't happen like that for them.
And so it'd be interesting if it was like, say, Esteban Ocon, for example, with his backstory and everything that he and his family had to sacrifice to get where he, and if he hadn't made it, then what would that look like, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's I like this saying, hard work pays off, but it doesn't work in motorsport. There's so many things which have to be combined, and it's hard work. You have to be a good driver, you have to be talented, but you have to have the right mentors, which I know I didn't have because I'm not coming from a family background in motorsport, and you have to have a lot of money. So I could drive as hard as I possibly could. It probably would have never got me anywhere. And to realize that is hard.
Yeah, definitely. Try and make it a bit more uplifting. I'll move on to something else. On your Instagram, it says that you're also a model, a free diver, a Ninja Warrior competitor, and a sailor. So first, where did you find the time for all of that, and what sparked all of these passions?
Well, sailing is easy. My parents run a charter company here in Croatia with boats. And so I grew up on the racetrack and on the boat. So that was easy. Being on a boat, that was just going hand in hand. What else? Model, that went hand in hand as well, which is not like, it changed a little bit. I did more when I was like 16, 17, because always being in the spotlight of being the girl racing, like we said earlier, there are not a lot of girls racing. And then it's just, there was some newspaper stuff. And I actually liked modeling then. I can honestly say it now. I love being in a spotlight, you know. Sometimes people think that's a bad thing or that's not what you want to say from yourself. But no, I do, you know. So I like being in the spotlight. I like modeling. I like talking. And I think you do have to kind of, when you're a presenter, you're probably not the shy person. And my best friend, she's like, oh, I would hate all your life, you know. I would hate it. I would never want that. But does that make her a bad person, or does it make me a bad person of being like that? I like to be in the spotlight, and I don't think it doesn't. So, and she's still, yeah, exactly, and that's good. You know, if everyone's like me, that'd be hard work, and if everyone would be really shy, that's not easy as well. So, no, I like it, and I like modeling, and I still kind of do. I still do a little bit of stuff now again, and I enjoy that a lot. And what else was there? There was Ninja Warrior and obstacle runs. That was hand in hand actually. When I had free weekends, I went obstacle running. So I don't even know where that started. I
You
just
just saw
thought,
it and just thought, yeah, let's do this.
yeah, I think the first run was like that, and then it's always for me like that. It's either 100% or nothing at all. So there's nothing in between. And there was one run I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that professionally now. So that's what I did. I just signed on every obstacle run in this year, and I did that for 2 years, pretty much every weekend. And then I won the Spartan run. I don't know if you've heard of that. The Spartan run is like the most global one. They have it all over the world. And then later on, they came to me, Ninja Warrior, just after the run, like, oh yeah, you won, and you want to come to Ninja Warrior? There's a wild card. So I got that wild card for Ninja. I was like, oh wow. So yeah, let's give it a go. But that was only 3 weeks later. And the problem was the Spartan runs or the obstacle runs are more like, how do you call it? Like running,
Yeah, more
aerobic.
stamina.
Yeah, and the mixture of strength.
Okay.
When Ninja Warrior just about strength and especially hands and fingers, and they were like, oh, it's in 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, you know, it should be fine. And then I went there, and that was amazing as well, especially all the girls just in sport bras, you know, just like showing a belly and the trousers, and they're like, oh yeah, Corinna, if you mind, can you just also put your t-shirt off? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And back then I didn't have a six-pack, you know, I had a feminine body. So, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then I was really embarrassed because I was like, what the hell am I doing here? All the girls, I don't mean to be mean, but like look like boys, you know, like really strong. And I was like, this is going to be so embarrassing, and it's going to be on TV. So that's really bad. And I only did 3 weeks of training, like finger training and whatever. But you don't know what's going to happen, you know, you're going to see it and they're like, all right, in you go. So, and in the end I came I didn't make it the first round, but none of the girls did, so that's good. And I actually as I was like the furthest, and the second girl was the same like me.
Okay.
And you know, that was such a proof to me, and also for me a sign for the other girls that are out there, be like, just because you look like this doesn't mean you're the healthiest and best athlete
Doesn't
out
guarantee
there.
anything.
Yeah, and that was such a big step for me as well, because seeing them, and I was there with a friend, and he was like, you know, you will be fine. And I was like, no, I'm going to go home. You know, that's going to be so embarrassing. I'm going to be on TV, and they're going to be really fun. I'm going to be the most embarrassing person there. And it ended up the completely different way. And that was for me a point where I was like, all right, I want to also give that to other girls, and like now tell this story to, just because they look really good and really strong doesn't mean they're going to be like that. So not to always like look at a person and be like, oh, this person is fit and this one is probably good and this one is good. Well, it's probably the completely other way around. And that was such a big proof for me, and it was fun. It was really fun, but I wouldn't do it again. Just the people right now, like watching Ninja Warrior now, I think I wouldn't even make the first obstacle. So
it is insane what some of them do on that.
That's amazing, isn't it? They improved so much as well, because I did it, I think it was the second year or the first year in Austria, and obstacles were more or less easy, when now you're like, I don't even know how to do that. So
how do you train for something like this, what they do now, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some places in England I know where I was there with Diane, and Diane was one of the best people, and he was from England, and he built a complete, like, how do you call it, like a hall himself, just with all these obstacles. He just rebuilt them, and now he's just renting them out to other Ninja Warriors to train there. But we don't have anything like that in Austria yet, so it's amazing.
You need to get on that then. You find somewhere yourself and build that yourself.
If I don't have enough hobbies, I'm going to do that. Yeah. So yeah, that was Ninja Warrior, and the obstacle runs, that was just hand in hand. Sailing, modeling, I think that's it, isn't it? Diving. Oh my God, I love diving. Diving is one of the best things.
And so that makes sense with the boats, though. I'm thinking it's the natural progression. I feel I can see the connection at least.
Actually, diving had nothing to do with, more or less.
Never mind. I'll cut myself out on that one later.
Sorry about that. No, I was in Croatia, and I said to my parents, I want to try it, and I just did it. So maybe it's a little bit hand in hand because I was in Croatia. So don't cut yourself out on that. And I think it worked like that. And then I just completely got hooked on it. And then I did just diving safaris. So there was one year with 6 diving safaris, where just on a boat for a week and just diving for 3 to 4 times a day. And then I did my diving instructor as well. Not because I wanted to teach, more because I wanted to just learn more about it. And yeah, I think I've about 250 dives right now.
Oof.
So I did a lot of it, and I just love being disconnected because I'm always on the phone and Instagram and emails and talking, and you can't do that. It's like,
I suppose it's just you and whatever's down there, and you just have to connect with it and just get on with it. And there's just kind of something quite nice about the simplicity of that.
Exactly, and it's especially something completely different to what I'm doing in the rest of my time, being like really competitive. It's always about being competitive. I always like to challenge myself and others, and you can't do that there. You can't be really a good diver. Of course you can, not touch anything and just like be decent, but it's not like you can't win anything from being a good diver. So I'm not gonna get a medal coming back out and they're like, well done, you did a good job. So that's what they probably could say in the beginning when you learn it. They're like, oh, you're really good at that, but that's about it.
It's good to have that thing though, where you can be good at it, but there isn't like too much of a measurable way of being good at it in the competitive sense, where it's just like, yeah, we can all just go and do this and it doesn't matter. As long as none of us drown, then we've succeeded. So it's good.
Yeah, exactly. And just being nature, and being happy if something big comes around, or that, like, we had a whale shark 2 years ago. You're just like, diving and it's all quiet, and then there's the big thing coming, and you're like, no way. So it's really nice. I love diving. It's just a completely different perspective of life.
Definitely. And so a couple of fun questions, completely unrelated to anything, to finish off, which normally catch everyone out. So we'll see if you fall into that category too. First up, would you rather have to fight aliens or zombies?
Depending. I've watched too many movies. I'm really scared of zombies because they look horrible, don't they? But if I can kill them with a hat shot, that'd be easier, probably.
True.
But aliens, it depends what they do, if they're like,
say, if you got Mars attacks or if you got alien, which kind of thing are we dealing with?
I don't know, can the aliens do like things which we can't do? If they're like,
I feel like they have to be able to do a little bit, otherwise it's too level there. I mean, zombies, it's just a slower version of you, but it's more dangerous in a way if they get you. But the aliens, they've got to have some kind of advantage.
Then I'd rather fight zombies, because aliens, I don't know what's going to happen, so it's not going to be my fault in the end. You know what I mean?
I like that. And then last question: if you had $1 million and you had to spend it on something silly that wasn't motorsport, what would you spend it on?
Something silly. 1 million.
Yes.
Does it have to be something silly, or can it just be something without motorsport?
It's got to be both.
It's got to be both. Oh God, that's hard. Oh.
Because I feel like you just do nice things with $1 million, and that's all very good, but we want silly.
I would have said I wouldn't make it like a cat sanctuary or something like that, but that's not silly, is it?
It's nice.
Oh God, something silly. Is it silly to fly to? Oh, it's not possible with ISS, is it? Because it's going to be much more money. Like, fly to space. Is that silly? Flying to space? Probably not.
Try and use that as a bribe to see if Elon will take you up.
Something silly. Oh God, I have got no idea. Something stupid. Flying to space and travel the world. Do something. No, I would do something good. I can't just think about like getting $1 million and be like, I'm going to waste it on some stupid stuff, aren't I?
My first thought for you there was that you just build your own Ninja Warrior course, but I don't know.
No. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a fairground in Africa. So that's going to be useful, isn't it? I could make something more helpful. I could make like water, have decent food, but at least have a good time.
Yeah. It's like, in the meantime, have fun on this.
Yeah, probably. That's actually really stupid. Like, why would you do that? I have $1 million and make a fairground. Like, oh, have fun. I think that's stupid. I think it's a nice background because I want them to be happy, but I don't think it's going to solve their problems. So
So it's good intentions, just wrong method. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a funny question. I'm going to think about a lot today. Because I thought,
mission accomplished.
Yeah. God. I'll probably text you later saying what else I could do with it.
I'll just keep getting a list over the week now. Like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, I'm going to overthink you the whole day now and then text you later. You probably have to edit to the video later what I said.
I'll just put a little insert at the bottom. She then came up with all these things that have credits rolling.
Yeah.
Well,
it's at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Just on double speed. We don't have enough time. There's too many.
I think it's not going to be that many ideas. I'm really not that creative.
Don't sell yourself short.
That really bothers me now. That question really bothers me.
Oh. I was going to say that could be the title for this episode, and people would be like, "I wonder what he asked her," and it's just something like this.
I tried e-foiling yesterday. I've got something now. I tried e-foiling, and I'm just going to buy a lot of people these e-foils. It's going to be good, I guess.
That's how you can all arrive at Monaco next year. You'll just all be outside in the wider bay and just coming in on those.
You can see me foiling. Oh God, I want to think about something.
Well, I'll let you think about that. And it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I want to thank you for your time of being here today and wish you the best of luck with everything in 2022 and beyond.
Thank you so much. It was great fun and some really great questions. That's why I love interviews, having different questions and thinking them over and not always thinking about the same things, and asking the same things. So that's a really nice question. Thank you for your time and asking me if I want to do that with you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks again to Corinna for coming onto the Kerbs with me, and I want to wish her the best of luck for the rest of 2022 and beyond. Join me again soon when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other videos on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel, and listen to me talk about Formula 1, amongst other things, over on the Undercut podcast. Away from YouTube, you can follow me over on Instagram at t.albers.daily.onthekerbs and read my various motorsport articles over on Is It Fast, Paddock's Rarity and Supercar Blondie. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week for the next episode.